Right, so I just turned 30 years old and, life is changing. So that is what I want this thing to be about. I just want to share a bunch of things that is happening in my life. So consider this video a life update. Now, nobody cares. The reason why I'm doing this is because I want to just document stuff at certain specific points in my life. And that's the whole point of this channel, which is Sketchbook, which is document my thoughts, my ideas, my things on life, and so that I'll have an idea of where things was, and when I look back at things. So first, I started out on YouTube when I was a complete teenager. I was a complete teenager. What does that even mean? I was a teenager when I started out on YouTube. I was approximately, what was 2010, 14 years back. So I'm assuming that is 30 minus 14, that is 16. 16 years old when I started out on YouTube, and right now I'm 30. So I've been on this platform for nearly 12 to 14 years, because around 2010 I sort of started it, and then I became serious in 2011, and then I stopped it. So it's not like 14 years of continuous work. I wouldn't say that. So I would say it's like a whole ride and a journey and a whole bunch of things. And along this way, I've learned a whole bunch of lessons, which I sort of want to talk about today. It's a bit of jumbled, mixed thoughts. So here's how I want this thing to be. First, I want to tell you what's happening, what's been happening, why I didn't even post on Sketchbook for a while. That is one. Two, what is changing, what I've learned, and what I'm doing. So these are like two things, right? The past and the future. The past, chapter 1. What has been happening? Well, I didn't post on this channel for a very simple reason. I was just focused on main things. I often talk about how important focus is, and when you need to sort of focus on things, you need to sort of let other things go that is not serving that particular purpose. I had to focus on a couple of things. We were in a stage where I had to stabilize, or not stabilize, I had to sort of focus a bit more on the business right here. I run a business. This is a business right here on the studio. It's surrounded by my art, or it surrounds my art, not surrounded by my art. It surrounds my art and my personal likes and projects and all those things. But at the same time, it is a business that is sort of, what do you call it? It's a business. People are there. People are working for me for like a couple of years right now at this point. So, and there is overhead, and there are people I need to take care of, and then I'm getting married, and that means more expenses, right? So it's just that I've just been focused on business. That's it. I'm working with a mentor, actually. I don't want to go too deep into it just yet, because the amount that I'm paying to work with mentor and the amount I'm just spending on education in general is astronomical right now. Like I have, maybe I can just, talk about the thing. I think I'm spending I've spent already about $15,000, 15,000 US dollars or British pounds. I don't know which. I think it's British pounds. Yes, on education, on mentorship right now, just in the past 6 months, $15,000, because I see the value of education, because I'm sort of trying to learn from people who have built creative businesses before, and then I'm just trying to learn from them. And it's a lot of money, of course. It was a good chunk of my savings. Not like a big chunk, but a nice, decent chunk of the savings that I always try to have in my bank account. I'm talking about all these things because this is sort of future reference for future cash, So future cash will sort of look at this and say, oh, this is where I was. Oh, this is how, these decisions that I took, sort of played out. So it was a good chunk of money, and sort of working with this mentor to learn more about how that person built their $10+ million creative business. Now, what am I working towards? In my life, my primary objective at this moment is do great work, great art projects and great things, like creative wise, and then create a monetization system around it so that I can continue doing this. And two is to build great products. That is my innate want. I make stuff because I really like making stuff. Like Drawing Cam is a product, and I made Drawing Cam because I really like making it. And a lot of folks are making educational courses and programs these days, and I'm sure they have different motivation. They want to make money, they want to do other things, and this is completely fine. It's their thing. But my thing is specifically, like, I made Drawing Camp because it's a product that I wanted to exist. So I'm thinking in terms of products. I'd really like the Steve Jobs mentality. It's like, what makes a great product, right? If you died making that product today, would you be happy with it, right? But the thing is, like, I need to be in pursuit of making good products. That's a thing. So I've hired a mentor. I'm learning, and also, so I've been focused on business. So that's why I didn't, post on this channel, because one of the mantras that I've recently learned is first things first, second things second. That means first things comes first. And if it means letting go of second things, you let go of second things. That is the whole idea. So that's one. And two is I'm getting married. Damn it, I didn't wear my engagement ring today. Right. So yeah, I'm getting married. I'm a bit hesitant about talking about my personal life online, and I want to keep it that way. And I've always sort of kept my personal life away from online things. That's why I never talk about my parents, and never talk about my family, and never talk about, who my friends are. I never talk about who my relationships are, because from time and time again, I've seen that the more YouTubers and these public personalities share their personal life online, it goes from being a relationship among two people to relationship with two people, or among two people with many other people's ideas and thoughts and opinions on it. It's like your family is always coming in and always giving your opinion on how your relationship should be or needs to be. But in this case, they're not your family, and they're random strangers from the internet. So therefore, I never talk about my relationship. But the good thing is I'm getting married. It's nice to document that. I want to sort of say that particular aspect because it's a big turning point in my life. They often say, beware of who you marry, right? That one single life decision could change your life for the better or for the worse. And thankfully for me, my life has been way better since I met I don't like to say partner. That's a new agey term that I don't like. I like to say my wife, right? My fiance, my bubukuti, as I like to call her, Jeevan Jyoti. She's a physiotherapist doctor. That's all I'm going to say. She's doing her master's in physiotherapy. And other than that, she's a cutie pie who I really love. And she's extremely supportive. And she could, yeah. There are many reasons. Do I need to talk about those things? Maybe not. Yeah. It's a personal thing, yeah. First of all, it's great, and that's why I'm getting married. After 2 years of relationship, being in a relationship, I was like, yeah, let's get married, right? So that's happening. That is one. So that's a big thing, and it's also part of a big stressor because I need to plan for the wedding, and then all that thing that comes with the wedding, and it's just, I don't like those things. I don't like I don't like multiple projects at the same time. I've already got the projects that I need to do in the business, and then wedding is another project. And it's hard for me to manage those things, and it's been stressful, to say the least. But things are good. Next thing that I've been focusing on, or what has been happening in the past, is I am drawing a lot more. And then I've been focusing on sharing what I've learned through education. So I really like what I did with the Drawing Camp. And other people seem to like it as well. Here's one of the things that my mentor said. Just do what's working, right? Just do more of what is already working. I did start out YouTube to share like tutorials or make tutorials and educational content and all that. But right now it has turned into that. I started YouTube because I wanted to be like a filmmaker, like make short films and all those things. But right now, what people actually want is like they want to learn how I do the things that I do. And I'm also doing a lot of new things. So they want to learn that. So I'm just working on making books, making courses, and drawing a lot. So the first part of my day seems to be like either working on the first core project, which is a course or a book, or working on a drawing. That's it. I'm drawing a lot these days. I'm so happy, and it's so lovely. One day I was sitting and thinking, man, Kesh, you get to sit and draw for a living. It's so nice. There are other days where I just, grass is always greener on the other side. But It's really nice. So that's what I've been focusing on. But I also have this category or part in my life that I've been constantly doing for the past couple of months or weeks, is I'm working on a personal project at all times. I need something that is personal, something that is for myself, something that doesn't have the need for getting any sort of attention or making any sort of money. And for me is this comic book. So right here, I have this first mock-up copy of the first 50 pages of my Spirited Tales comic collection. It's a bunch of tales that is spirited. So it started for last year's 100 Days of Sketching on what do you say, October something of 2023. Right now, I'm just 50 pages in, because the last chapter I just went too perfectionistic on it, and it took me forever to finish it, and I still have 3 pages left to finish that thing. But man, oh man, sometimes perfectionism works because it looks beautiful. It looks amazing. If you're listening to this, then you can't see it, unfortunately, because biology says you can't see with your ears. But, it's amazing. It looks lovely. And this is just the first 50 pages. I have 60 more pages to go. And it's going to be a comic collection of, say, 110 something pages. It's going to be a while. And the thing is, another friend of mine said, Kesh, this is not going to make any money. And it's like, yeah, I know. It's not going to make any money whatsoever. It's hundreds of hours put into it. It's not going to make any money. I mean, it's not going to make any money as in, like, if you sell a bunch of comic books, like 1,000 copies, what are you going to make? Like $10 into 1,000, like $10,000. Maybe I'm talking about like profit after shipping, margins, printing, logistics, and all those things. Maybe $10, right? You might make $10, and then you sell 1,000 copies. Because I'm no Stephen King, it's not going to make any money. But the thing is, I made it for myself, and that's the beauty of it all. I'm making something for myself, and I want to set that example to future Kesh as well. Like, make stuff for you, man. That is very, very important. And I don't. You probably know more than me right now, future Kesh. But a piece of advice would be always, in terms of the artistic side of your life, is to always make something that is truly for yourself, where you don't have any expectations of attention, money, or power, or satisfaction, or fulfillment. Not even personal fulfillment. You make it because it's the right thing to do. Do projects like that. I felt like I'm really liking making comics. So that's the thing. So those are all the things that has been happening. I'm learning, I'm drawing, I'm teaching, I'm making. In summary of my past, I've come up with this little thing, which is do, learn, share. That is my mantra, which is do stuff in life, projects, challenges, things, go through experiences, and then learn about them, like learn about those experiences, articulate what is good and what is not, what went well, what didn't go well, learn those things, and then learn by teaching, share. You just share with the world, right? So do, learn, share. And that seems like a nice thing. Do comics, movies, animations, this, that, and everything. Speaking of animation, that is something that is just on the back burner. It's not a priority right now. But the thing is, I treat comics or making comics as part of my container of animation and personal art, which is always like make something artistic in the physical world and then switch it to the film world, right, through films. And every bit of this comic is sort of actually not storyboarded, but sort of made in such a way that it can be easily adapted into films, into short films, into screenplay. So I'm sort of making stuff like that because I want to eventually make these things into short films or into films. So that is the whole idea. So that's what's been happening, right? So now I've turned 30. What does it feel like to be turning 30? That's another thing. Well, let me say, this is the part 2, chapter 2 of this thing. What does it feel like to be 30? I can tell you one thing. Nothing changed, right? Nothing changed. I still feel young, even though one of my other 30-year-old friends says that, what do you say? Low back pains and knee replacements are coming, my friend. Not for a 30-year-old, but yeah, I still feel the same. But the sense of responsibility seems to be a bit more, which is I don't want to screw around and mess around anymore. And that means there are people depending on me. I have families to feed. I mean, it's not like I haven't done that for the past 7 years. I've been doing that. I've been taking care of my family for since 7 years right now. So it's not new. And I'm glad to have taken responsibility for a lot of people very young in life, being sole breadwinner in many cases. But it's increasing right now, and the amount of people that I'm responsible for is also increasing, and that's a good thing. The default mode of thinking, which is I have too much responsibilities, this is too hard, but rather I like the Jordan Peterson style of thinking, which says take on as much responsibility as you possibly can. It's stressful in the moment, but you try to increase your competency or capability, how good you are basically, to carry that responsibility. So I feel more responsible right now, so therefore I'm less screwing around. So those are the changes, what's happening right now. So what is happening? Yeah, before that, what else? What is it? What does it feel like to be 30? There's a sudden shift in you wanting to be more healthy, and it seems like I felt that. Even though I do work out, I do fairly eat well, but I had some addictive personalities, addictive action, behaviors towards food, like binge eating once in a while. So that was a problem. So I was sorting that part out, and then wanting to waste less time was another thing, which is I'm slowly cutting out stuff like watching too much television. Instagram reels, those things, I don't do them anyway. YouTube is a big thing. I just watch YouTube. It's educational, but at the same time, it's sort of like a mix of both. So I'm watching too much YouTube because I like videos. I like making videos. I'm a filmmaker and really speaks to me. That is a problem right there. So I'm sort of reducing that part and trying to replace it with something else. But overall, it doesn't feel much different, but I do know that the next 10 years is going to be extremely important. I'm focusing a lot on doing, I'm going to treat this, let's see, is there a fun way to think about it? I want to treat this possibly the last decade of my life. Just a fun thing. If this was the last decade of my life, what would I want to have happened? That's a good question to ask. Or is it a good question to ask? Is that from a short-term thinking or too long-term of thinking? I don't know. But I want to, for me, it's securing my family financially. That is the next goal. I'm financially fine. Yeah. And that is the next goal. And then want to make art, want to make films, want to make comics, want to make projects, and share those things online so that you can be a good, decent role model for other folks to follow. Because what else is the point? You do things, you do good things, and you show other people how you do things. That's my basic life philosophy. I don't know. I don't find much meaning in other things. So that is what feels like to be 30. But man, pro tip, side note, practice jumping. I've realized that I don't jump much, and I've lost that skill, jumping. How silly that is, jumping with your knees touching your chest. I think you need to practice jumping, plyometrics. It's important after you turn 30. And they say it affects your knees. I don't know the science. I'm not a doctor. I'm not an exercise scientist. Go ask someone who knows stuff. But I think you need to jump. I need to jump. I'm going to practice jumping because I don't want to lose that thing. I want to be very healthy when I turn 80 or 9, doing pull-ups with my great grandkids. That's my life goal right there. That's a lovely life goal. Doing pull-ups with your grandkids.
What's up now, bro? Yeah, what's up now, bro?
That's the life I want to live. Right. So now on to the third chapter, which is what is changing. What are the things that I'm changing since I turned 30? I'm talking about a whole bunch of things, but right now the approach towards how I approach life has changed. One of the videos I recently made on the main channel, which I know that a lot of people won't watch, but this is probably the most important video that I've ever made, which is the DARK method, which is dream, aim, create. I'm approaching life not in through like New Year's resolutions and goals, but rather like 6-week goals, like 6-week blocks, 6-week cycles, because it's enough time for me to achieve something meaningful. And I can constantly iterate from one block to another block to another block to another block. So I'm sort of approaching my life in 6-week chunks and trying to improve every 6 weeks. And that is the goal right there. Like improve every 6 weeks. Obviously, that 6 weeks is informed by a very long-term vision, not too long, but sort of like a 2 to 3 year vision, so that I can, constantly adjust. And I have like grander life visions that, generally you're like going towards in that approximate direction. So that one thing has changed. And in that line, I have really dialed down on the importance of having a schedule, because not having a schedule has been one of the biggest problems before in my life. I did have a schedule, but the thing was, it was a bit vague. But right now, I really like the idea of blocking pretty much all hours of the day. Not like something that is so rigid, something that I don't want to do, but it's more like this is the day that I kind of like to have. This is the week that I like to have. And I sort of block stuff. It's like, this is what I want to do on a Wednesday morning. I want to take breaks every Thursday mornings because I want to go to the doctor, take care of my hair, stuff like that. Apparently you need to do that when you turn 30 or else you'll go bald. I'm just kidding. And apply your sunscreen. That's another thing. So that is one. Having a schedule and sort of creating weeks that I like. Creating a week. What would a week that I like look like? And then honestly answering that question with not shoulds and musts. I should work out. Rather than like, I'd actually like to work out only like 30 to 40 minutes a day. That's it. So I'm just going to do that. That is how my week goes. So this is what I do for every other category as well. Like, how long do I want to work and when do I want to work? Block that in. When do I want to eat lunch? Block that in. What kind of meals do I want to eat? I can't believe that I'm saying that recently I prefer to eat the same approximate meals every day. And it's nice. It's less anxious. Weirdly, apparently, I think the older you get, the less decisions you want to make, and it's just making you less anxious. So I've been doing that. So like creating a week that you like, that is the first thing that I've changed, and focusing on a lot more on health, like what I'm eating. And then also at the same time, like getting stronger. I'm like thinking, right now I'm in a phase where like I need to get my basic strength up on key fundamental exercises like bench press, pull-ups, Bulgarian split squats and deadlifts and all those things, like foundations, basics, getting my strength up. And that is a goal. And that's going to be the goal for the next 2 years. I think so. And I'm finally sticking to a routine without changing it. So that is nice. And 2, I'm also like quitting some of the addictions that I have. So me and my fiance, we're doing this thing called 100 days with no sugar. So we're just not eating sugar. And it's been like 2 weeks right now. And to be honest, I don't miss sugar. And also I've learned that after starting this challenge, the sugar is not the enemy. The problem apparently is ultra processed foods, because we eat sugar, we blame sugar because we think it's the one that is making us fat and unhealthy. And that's what I thought as well. But after 2 weeks in, I just found sugar-free alternatives to literally everything, like sugar-free chocolates to sugar-free this to sugar-free that. Then I was like, is my health getting better? No, because I'm just eating a sugar-free version of that thing. And so I've realized like that's not the problem. So it's like highly palatable, ultra processed foods that has a lot of calories in them is the biggest culprit. And I'm just eating better quality foods right now. So, but regardless, we're just trying this thing, 100 days, no sugar. And we want to do this 100-day thing. Like every 100 days, we do some sort of challenge. Like 100 days of not this, 100 days of this, 100 days of not this, something like that. It'll be fun, right? Like, or what else are you going to do in your relationship? Find the kind of person who wants to do dumb shit like this with you. That's the secret key right there. So that is the next thing. And then last but not least, 2 key things that has been changing, which I think will be helpful for a lot of fellow 30-year-olds. It's this. I'm reminded back to the advice Derek Sivers gave to Tim Ferriss on a podcast, or the thing that they were talking about in a podcast. So Derek Sivers, investor, founder, someone big, successful, quote unquote guy. I mean, he's cool. He's a cool guy, right? He's got all the material successes that you might want to dream of, or you would dream of. And he gave a piece of advice to Tim Ferriss, or not to Tim Ferriss, on the Tim Ferriss show, the podcast, for advice, sort of like an advice for 30-year-olds. And was this: don't be a donkey. That means don't be a donkey chasing multiple things at the same time. Many people, especially 30-year-olds and plus, think that they need to do all the things at the same time, but life happens in a sequence. Then that means you need to tackle one thing, complete it, do another thing, complete it, and do another thing and complete that. So that is the lesson right there. I'm not being a donkey. And how do you know if you're not being a donkey? You need to have a clear binary metric for it, right? Because you can't just say things and not see if you're doing it or not. The way I'm not being a donkey is by changing my behavior, by working in 6-week blocks where I just focus on 1 to 2 projects. I'm not being a donkey for 6 weeks. Maybe in the future, I'll get better at not being a donkey for 6 months and then 6 years. And it's going to get better. So that is what I've been doing. So not being a donkey, focusing on one project, one thing at a time. First things first, second things second. And that's the thing that we're saying often at the studio. You know, me and couple is like, first things first, second things second. Yeah, just stop doing the second things first. Yeah, that's the thing. And finally, I have realized that I also want to be not happy. I've recently started adopting this mindset from Alex Hormozi. It's like, F happiness, screw happiness, stop trying to be happy. And it's really nice, actually. You know, if you stop trying to be happy, apparently you're just more happy. It's so funny, right? I don't understand that thing. You should really check out his philosophy on that. It was interesting. And like, just wake up, in the morning and say, you know what? Am I happy? No. Well, I don't care then. Then all of a sudden, just this pressure is lifted off your head. It's like, am I happy? Am I living a happy life? Blah, blah, blah. Well, all of the thing goes out of the window. Right now, you're like, happy. I'm happy. Am I happy? Yeah, I think I'm happy. It's pretty nice. Today is a pretty good day. I worked out. I walked. I did my work in the morning. Came to the studio. I ate healthy. I'm fasting today, so it feels nice. I'm happy, but I don't care. That's the thing. That's philosophy that I'm sort of installing in myself. Sort of a little tangent right here. I would check out a quote by Viktor Frankl, who spoke on happiness, and it's a lovely quote, right? I just love. I think Viktor Frankl is the GOAT, right there. He's he's my ultimate philosopher, dude. And I think I derive a lot of basic fundamental philosophies from that guy. Let me check. Wait. He said this: don't aim at success. The more you aim at it and make it a target, the more you're going to miss it. Because for success, like happiness, cannot be pursued, it must ensue. And that's what I realized. Success and happiness cannot be directly pursued. It must ensue as a result of what? As a byproduct of one's surrender to a person other than oneself. Or it can be a person, or it can be a thing, a greater cause. And for me, I've been reading the Bhagavad Gita lately. And for me, it's duty of I've been given a gift, or I have this gift that I have cultivated, or I have the inclination to cultivate. I am going to share that. I am going to make other people's lives useful. And that makes me happy. And he said this one more thing, which is, I want you to listen to what your conscience commands you to do and go on to carry it out to the best of your knowledge. And then you will see, or you will live to see, that in the long run, he says, success will follow you precisely because you have forgotten to think about it. That is lovely. I'm seeing that in so many small things. So I guess you shouldn't focus on success. So that's the next thing that I'm doing. I am finally, this is the last part, which is I'm starting to do personal projects that I like. I'm just going to have a start and end to those personal projects so that it doesn't turn into this intense side thing that is distracting me away from the main thing. But I want to do these things. Like I want to start have a film YouTube channel where I just make these personal films that I don't really care if other people watch or not. I want to post it right there. And 2 is to do these podcasts. I like doing these podcasts. I don't care if anyone watches it or listens to it, but I want to do it. I want to make it. So there is that. And what are the other things? Oh yeah, I want to change my website into like a more of a personal blog and write about random things that I really want to write about, like things that are helping me. And I'm already doing that through my newsletter, 3 Point Thursdays. Plug. But I want to do more of that. And, and I'm thinking of a couple of these other side projects that I will have in the back end. And I'm just flirting with those projects. But I'm doing them in such a way that, 1, I want those things to exist. And it's a nice thing. And 2, I'm not getting distracted away from my main thing. And the way I know I'm not getting distracted away from my main thing is, have I put in 90 minutes, 2 hours in the morning on the one main thing for the block? If I'd done that, and if I do other things, I'm not distracted. This is my definition of my life. So that is it. That's my life update right there. That was quite long. Yeah, this is where I am as of 3:15 p.m. Monday, September 2nd of 2024. The 40-year-old Kesh might watch this. What are you thinking? Really? You know what? Well, good for you. I'm not going to place any expectations on you. I'm going to do the work. You'll see the results. That's how it's going to work, 40-year-old Kesh. I'll see you in the next episode of what are this thing that we're doing on Sketchbook. Bye-bye.